Hi, everybody. My name's Ed Marshall. I work for a company called Superdielectrics. We just about squeeze in to Essex. We're a few miles north of Saffron Walden. And we're developing water-based batteries. I'm going to go into the technology in a little bit of detail. I'm not going to go massively into the detail. For one, I don't think anybody really needs to hear that before lunch. And secondly, I probably wouldn't be capable of it. I am not somebody who's technically adept in batteries at all. I'm a chemist by training. But what I will do is just mention that the battery pack that we've got shown here, the picture there, that's known as Faraday 2. We launched that in July last year. It's what we call our TRL6 demonstrator, which essentially means that it's been through all the lab development phase, and it's now looking to be scaled up to us to de-risk the manufacturing side of it and to start taking it out and doing prolonged field trials with the battery. A few words, first of all, on the management team. So we're a deep tech company. Anybody who hasn't come across the expression deep tech before, it usually means that it's going to take many, many years of lab-based research to get it to commercialization. Anybody who's followed the Superdielectrics story since our inception in 2017 may or may not know that our founder and former CEO, Jim Heathcote, retired last July, and he's recently been replaced by Jane Hunter. She's an Australian lady who's joined us. Jane used to be the CEO of an Australian company called Tritium, who are fast charging stations for EVs, electric vehicles. Before that, Jane also worked at Boeing Phantom Works, where she led a project to develop the Ghostbat drone for the Australian Royal Air Force. Our CTO also new. So Jane's been with the company for 6 months. Shelley has been with us for 4 months, and she has extensive experience in lithium-ion battery development, having worked for Johnson Matthey and also in the BP venture teams as their battery expert. And my own background, as I mentioned, is in chemistry. I was a lecturer at Imperial College where I started off. I launched a bioplastic spin-out in 2009. Joined that company full-time, and we were pretty successful. We were bought by a large multinational paper company called Sappi in 2017. Worked for them for 5 years, and the last 3 years I've been working at the University of Cambridge advising academics on how best to commercialize their technologies. So essentially between us, there's quite a wealth of experience here in commercializing innovative technologies. Okay, so the technology we're developing is a fast-charging battery, fast-charging, fast-discharging battery. And unlike lithium-ion batteries that many people in the room will be familiar with, we haven't designed these to maximize the energy density. We're not trying to have as much capacity as possible. Instead, we're focused very much more on power density. So that's the ability to deliver charge quickly. So they charge quickly, they discharge quickly. And they can do that thousands and thousands of times with minimal deterioration in performance. There's another big difference from lithium. They're water-based, okay? That means, I think it's more than 50% by mass of one of our batteries is water. They offer zero risk of what's known as thermal runaway. That's the overheating and the ignition and then fires that you often have associated with lithium-ion batteries, for example, with charging e-bikes or e-scooters, or in waste collection of lithium batteries and recycling of lithium batteries. So that's a big tick in the safety box for us. And another big difference from lithium is the fact we use zinc rather than lithium. So zinc is much more widely available. It's the 4th largest mined metal on the planet after iron, aluminium, and copper. And that means that you can actually make these batteries anywhere in the world. It does not suffer from the security of supply chain issues that dog lithium. And so we really do see this as a potentially a UK manufacturing opportunity, as well as other areas around the world as well. Okay, so at the moment, the technology is TRL6. That's what that picture of Faraday 2 was on the front slide. And what we're now looking to do is to take this through the next two stages, so TRL7 and TRL8. This means we need to de-risk manufacturing at scale and really give ourselves a chance of having something that we can bring to market. And what we're now looking for, ideally, are field trial partners, people who we can actually come to your site, be that maybe an off-grid solar farm, a data center, where we can actually use our batteries and demonstrate that they work over a period of several months. And that means that we're looking for really application areas where the ability to charge quickly and discharge quickly, but also to do so in an entirely safe way will allow us to demonstrate those characteristics. So this slide shows some of the typical features of a modern electricity grid. Everything from generation on the left-hand side through to transmission, and its storage and use on the right-hand side. The little green batteries show the typical traditional uses of batteries, and that's not where we're looking to play at all. We're looking at the little red batteries instead, the power cell applications. And I'll just run through a couple of examples of these to finish off. So on the left-hand side, you can see that we've got the little picture of a wind farm or a solar farm, so the renewable energy. And one of the challenges for renewable energy is obviously its unpredictability. It's intermittent and it fluctuates. So, for example, solar energy, on a day like today, probably not too bad, but there's still cloud cover. So as the cloud comes across, you sort of like see the solar energy generation drops off. Clouds clear, the sun shines again, and it suddenly will spike back up again. And so it's often difficult for the grid to be able to adjust, particularly as we see more and more renewables coming online in the UK, how the actual grid can cope with that unpredictability of supply against the need to still supply everybody and for the lights to stay on. So one solution to that is that you put a battery near your renewable energy source, your generation source, your solar farm, your wind farm. And quite often that will be a big lithium battery known as a BESS, battery energy storage system, shown in the bottom here. But one of the problems that lithium faces here is that it charges, it doesn't charge quite as quickly as you would hope it would do. So anybody who's charged their phone, if you're not using the dedicated charger, it can take a few hours. If you're charging an electric vehicle, if you're just doing this off a trickle charge, it will take a long time. So one of the solutions that we'd like to propose here is to actually take one of our fast charging batteries and to put that in between the solar farm and a lithium-based BESS. The idea being that we can help capture the spikes when the power fluctuates upwards, to capture that energy, and then to pass it onto the lithium battery system in a way that protects it from the high fluctuations of solar. Moving over towards the other side of the slide, the right-hand side, where we have the data center. This is a second application that we're seeing. Now, for this, it's perhaps a bit more topical. Because it really focuses on AI training centers, and by that we mean the really large ones, the hyperscale data centers, most of which are in the US and China. The thing with an AI model is that the first thing you need to do is you need to train it, and so that draws a lot of power. It's not unknown for AI training to require use of tens of thousands of GPUs, requiring power of several hundreds of megawatts, even into the gigawatt territory. Now, whilst it's doing the training, that's fine. Everything's working. It might be strained, but it's able to work. But then in AI training, every few hours, maybe every few days, you go to a point what's known as a checkpoint. This is where the AI training stops, where you take a snapshot of the status of your model and you test it, you save it, and you get ready for the next phase of training and development of the AI model. And that means that the power demand to the server will plummet from several hundred megawatts down to, well, it can reduce by as much as 80 or 90% drop in milliseconds. And of course, before that drop happens, the grid the local substation, the infrastructure at the data center is running with a high power coming through it, and that power has to go somewhere. And so when you run into these checkpoints, when the power demand suddenly drops off, there is the real propensity here, or potential for damage to the infrastructure at the data center, right down to the server level, to the server rack level. So this is our other proposal here, is to actually use some of our zinc batteries at the rack level to be able to cope with the sudden excess power that becomes available when the AI model enters into its checkpoint phase, and to supply that back to the GPUs once the training picks back up again. And of course, the real nice thing about this is because we have no risk of thermal runaway, these batteries are not flammable at all. That means that we can do so in a way that is inherently safe for the data center. And one thing the data centers don't want is fires, because their downtimes are incredibly expensive when that happens. So to finish off the, obviously, thank you. But if there is anybody in the room who does feel that they have a particular application area that we would benefit from learning from, I feel quite exposed here, sort of like talking about this, when I know that there's an awful lot of gaps in my knowledge on this area. And the only way we'll actually fill those as a startup company is by partnering with people who can educate us better and to show us where the potential for our technology could be. So thank you very much. Thank you again for the organizers for the invitation as well.